Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a nice week and a nice weekend. I did. I just got back from a wonderful Advent mission in two little towns in Texas, about an hour west of Houston. And it was a great way to prepare for Christmas. And I'm almost ready. I want to mention again a shout out to our retired Vincentians in Perryville, Missouri, especially those in need of healing. And also a special shout out to those friends of the mission who need our prayers for God's healing hand. So please remember Brian and Clarence and Leonard and Stan. And also remember Louise and Orstein and Pat. We're praying for your healing and hope it happens soon. So as I said, I'm getting ready. I'm close. We've only got a few days left till Christmas, and my thoughts were on the symbols that we treasure at this time of the year, especially as you prepare for Christmas. And I think of, the Christmas tree. In history, that's always been the fir and the green, evergreen, has always been a sign of life. And tradition goes way back to where, that people would hang evergreens outside their door to keep away illness or intruders or ghosts or whatever. And I think about it as a Christmas tree today. It's brought inside, and it's a symbol of life. There's a story that goes that Martin Luther, he loved that tradition of just recalling the life that a tree has, and he thought that the tree ought to be lit up because stars twinkle. And so he's credited one legend that he began the idea of putting lights on a tree, candles. So the tree has always been, and so many people love to have that Christmas tree brought, and it's decorated. The history surely is decorated by, used to be, fruits, even popcorn. And it's evolved into things where the tree is made to look beautiful. But the reminder of life. How about the Christmas wreath? It's always been a symbol of God, no beginning, no end, and life is eternal. So the Christmas wreath is another beautiful symbol. But I got to tell you, the one I believe is cherished the most at this time of the year is the creche. The depiction of the place where Jesus was born. And, if you go into the scriptures, it's hard to tell exactly his birth. Luke gives us some better insights than anybody, but we have no direct proof of the actual place. But St. Francis of Assisi, back in 1200s, he wanted to depict and put the whole birth of Jesus in a light where he was poor. And he grew up that way. And he became into the world that way. And so he's the one who was, and most historians agree that he is the one who created the idea we have today, that Jesus was born in a manger, around hay and around animals, which is not hard to believe for St. Francis. But that whole idea is just such a wonderful thought, that this little baby became the Savior of the world, the real King. And he was born in very lowly, poor way. And I really appreciate looking at different creches, different presentations of where Jesus was born. I love going around to churches and just looking how they have that presented for people. And that it's very easy to understand the whole presence of Joseph and Mary. How about the shepherds? The shepherds were warned by angels that this was going to happen. I mean, they had no idea, even though, Luke in his gospel says shepherds were in the fields. And if Jesus was born, somewhere outside of a town of Bethlehem, then the shepherds would have been around. But they were told by the angels, hey, there's something big's going to happen here. And they were part of that first Christmas. And later on, we've had the presentation of the kings. This is a depiction and a story about how Jesus was recognized as king. Not political, but he would be a leader of people. And obviously that came true. I mean, his whole life, people have responded to. And so to have the wise men come and bring gifts, to him, to honor him. And, and that's another piece of that. The story goes that they followed a star. I have to tell you, be honest, it'd be very hard to see how one star they could find that would be right over. But the star may have been over Bethlehem. And once they got there, they'd find him. So the star led them. And I think of it, God, so many beautiful lights. A couple weeks ago, you looked at our sister's collection of villages with lights in them. That's really what I like to think, the star tells us about the presence of God. And maybe the light in our house should be that. And so, as Christmas comes in a few days, appreciate the symbols that you see, and especially that of the creche and where Jesus was born, amidst the shepherds and the animals and Joseph and Mary and the angels. This was peaceful, yet it was full of joy. That's what Christmas is about. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Be good to one another. Enjoy each other's company. And continue to let God know He's the reason that we're celebrating. And so we go to Him often, and I'd like you to join me in saying the mission prayer. Divine Savior, transform me into yourself. May my hands be your hands. May my tongue be your tongue. Grant that every faculty of my body may serve only to glorify you. Above all, transform my soul and all its powers, that my memory, my will, and my affections may be the memory, the will, and the affections of you. I pray you to destroy in me all that is not of you. Grant that I may live but in you, and by you, and for you, and that I may truly say with St. Paul, I live now, not I, but Christ lives in me. God bless. Have a good week. Have a great Christmas.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Oh, 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 oh. They look